If you're over 60, this one seemingly innocent meat could quietly raise your risk of a stroke overnight, with no warning, no symptoms, and no pain. You go to bed feeling fine, and by morning, your speech is slurred, your balance is gone, or one side of your body just doesn't move. As a brain doctor, I've seen far too many older adults suffer strokes they never saw coming. Not from smoking, not from fast food, and not from lack of exercise, but from something they believed was healthy. Meat. Yes, meat. Every day, millions of seniors eat common meats, thinking they are good for their hearts, brains, and muscle strength. And while many meats do offer vital nutrients, some, especially when prepared incorrectly or consumed at the wrong time, can quietly do harm. They can spike inflammation, thicken your blood, or interact dangerously with your medications, silently stressing your delicate vascular system. And the scariest part? No one ever warns you. Today, I'm going to walk you through 9 common meats that could be raising your risk of stroke, memory loss, or even a brain bleed, especially if you're over 60. This is information that might just save your life. I've witnessed firsthand the devastating consequences of these preventable tragedies. What we eat at 30 or 40 often changes its impact on our bodies by 60 or 70. Our systems adapt, but not always for the better, making certain dietary choices surprisingly perilous. Have you ever wondered if your healthy habits might be backfiring? If so, you need to hear this, and I promise it might just save your life. As we age, our kidneys naturally slow down, filtering less efficiently. Our blood vessels become more fragile, less flexible. Our metabolism shifts, struggling to process certain compounds and fats as it once did. These fundamental physiological changes mean that how our body handles everything, including the proteins and fats in meat, is profoundly different. What used to be healthy for your body may not be safe anymore, not without understanding the full picture. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. And if this introduction shocked you, wait until you hear about processed meats, a daily habit for many, quietly raising inflammation and blood pressure. Now, let's dive into the first hidden culprit, processed meats. For many of us, especially as we get older, bacon at breakfast, a sausage link, or a quick deli slice sandwich feels like a convenient, even comforting choice. They're readily available, easy to prepare, and have been staples in American households for generations. But what if I told you that these seemingly harmless choices, often eaten daily, can act as silent triggers, quietly raising your risk of a stroke with every bite? Have you ever stopped to consider that the very convenience you rely on might be slowly, imperceptibly, setting your brain up for danger? The danger isn't just about calories, it's about a lethal combination of compounds. Processed meats are loaded with excessive sodium, which, for an aging body, acts like a silent pressure cooker, elevating blood pressure and dehydrating your system, making your blood thicker and harder to pump. Even more insidious are the nitrates and nitrites used as preservatives. These chemicals, once in your body, can contribute to endothelial dysfunction, damage to the delicate lining of your blood vessels. This, in turn, fuels chronic inflammation, stiffens your arteries, and creates microscopic tears, making your blood far more likely to form dangerous clots. And in the brain, those clots can shut everything down in a matter of seconds. I'll never forget Mr. Arthur, a 74-year-old retired history teacher. He was active, sharp-minded, and believed he ate a balanced diet. Every morning, his ritual was 2 strips of crispy bacon alongside his eggs and coffee. Just a little indulgence, he'd say, convinced his daily walk balanced it out. For years, he followed this routine, never questioning it. He occasionally noticed a slight lightheadedness in the mornings, especially when he stood up too fast, but he dismissed it as a normal part of getting older. He had no idea these subtle signals were whispers of warning, signs of a silent storm brewing within his own arteries. Then, one Tuesday morning, his wife found him collapsed in the bathroom. His speech was slurred, his right side completely unresponsive. At the hospital, The scans confirmed a devastating ischemic stroke. His blood tests revealed dangerously high sodium levels and inflammatory markers, despite his blood pressure medication. The connection to his daily processed meat habit became chillingly clear. His body, already struggling with age-related vascular changes, couldn't handle the chronic assault of sodium and inflammatory compounds. His seemingly harmless morning bacon had been a silent, chronic elevation of risk, building up until it tipped his body into crisis. Here's the part that most seniors are never told. Your body at 70 or 80 doesn't clear sodium and nitrates as efficiently as it did at 30. Your kidneys are slower, your blood vessels more fragile. This means the toxic load from processed meats builds up, creating a perfect storm for stroke. Stiff arteries, sticky blood, and chronic inflammation silently accumulate, often without any overt symptoms, until the damage is done. You won't feel it day to day, but week after week, month after month, this silent buildup creates conditions where a blood clot can form overnight without warning and steal your independence. So what should you do if you're over 60 and enjoy processed meats? My advice is to limit them to very rare occasions or, ideally, avoid them entirely. If you must consume them, seek out nitrate-free, low-sodium options and always pair them with a generous serving of antioxidants from fresh vegetables to help mitigate some of the damage. Better yet, make smart swaps. Grilled chicken breast, lean fish, or plant-based proteins like lentils or beans offer far superior nutrition without the hidden dangers. And most importantly, talk to your doctor about how your current diet, especially processed foods, interacts with any blood pressure or heart medications you may be taking. Because what used to be a quick meal can now be a silent saboteur of your brain health. And if processed meats shocked you, wait until you hear what red meat, specifically high-fat cuts, can do to your arteries and brain, even if you eat it, only once a week. What I'm about to reveal next will likely change the way you think about that celebratory steak forever. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move on to the next hidden danger. We've just uncovered how processed meats, those daily conveniences, can quietly undermine your health. But if that shocked you, prepare to look differently at something many consider a classic indulgence, a symbol of celebration and hearty eating: red meat. As a brain doctor, I've seen countless patients, proud of their active lives, enjoying a good steak or a juicy burger once a week, believing it's a harmless treat, a reward. But what if this cherished ritual, especially with high-fat cuts, is doing more harm than good to your aging arteries and delicate brain? What if the unseen impact of that occasional indulgence far outweighs the immediate satisfaction? It's easy to focus on the taste, but for someone over 60, the physiological cascade triggered by high-fat red meat can be deeply concerning. The danger lies in its saturated fat and cholesterol content. These compounds, when consumed regularly, contribute to the relentless buildup of plaque within your arteries. Think of it like rust forming in old pipes, slowly but surely stiffening and narrowing the vital pathways that carry blood to your brain. This arterial stiffness reduces crucial blood flow, making your brain vulnerable. Worse still, chronic inflammation, fueled by these fats, can cause microscopic tears in the delicate lining of those vessels. And when that happens, your body, in an attempt to repair the damage, forms blood clots. These are the precursors to a stroke, often forming silently, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Let me tell you about Mrs. Evelyn Jenkins, a vibrant 78-year-old retired librarian. Evelyn prided herself on being active, daily walks, a keen bridge player, and always making time for her grandchildren. Her one indulgence, she called it, was a weekly burger or steak at the local grill, a treat she believed was perfectly fine, especially since she took medication for borderline high blood pressure. She ate plenty of vegetables, she reasoned, so her weekend indulgence was balanced. But over time, Evelyn started noticing subtle changes she attributed to simply getting older. Occasional unexplained fatigue that no amount of rest seemed to cure, and mild headaches that would sometimes follow her treats. She dismissed them, never connecting them to her beloved red meat. What she didn't realize was that her body, unlike when she was younger, was silently struggling to process the heavy load, and her arteries were beginning to pay the price. Then one morning, the quiet damage manifested dramatically. Evelyn woke up feeling profoundly confused, disoriented, and to her alarm, found temporary numbness in her right arm. Her daughter, noticing her slurred speech, rushed her to the emergency room, fearing a stroke. Tests quickly revealed a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, a mini-stroke, caused by a temporary blockage of blood flow to the brain. Her lab results showed not only elevated inflammatory markers, but also an unstable cholesterol profile, despite her medication. Her doctor, reviewing her lifestyle, connected these findings to years of high-fat red meat consumption. It had silently exacerbated her vascular vulnerability, setting the stage for that terrifying morning. The silent arterial assault had finally made itself known. Here's what I want you to understand. For seniors, aging blood vessels are inherently less resilient. They are less able to withstand the constant inflammatory assaults from a diet high in saturated fat. This leads to a persistent, low-grade, silent inflammation that builds up year after year, making arteries more prone to those microscopic tears and subsequent clot formation. It's a cumulative burden. Even consumption that feels moderate or occasional can, over time, tip the delicate balance in an already vulnerable system. Your body at 70 doesn't have the same capacity to recover or compensate as it did at 40. Every choice, even a seemingly small one, contributes to this long-term vascular health. So what should you do if you love red meat? First, choose wisely. Opt for leaner cuts like sirloin, flank steak, or even extra lean ground beef. Limit your portion sizes to about 3 to 4 ounces, roughly the size of a deck of cards. Always pair your red meat with abundant, colorful vegetables and healthy fats like avocado or olive oil to help balance the meal and provide antioxidants. And critically, reduce your frequency. Instead of weekly, consider it a special occasion, once or twice a month, or even less. Explore plant-based alternatives like lentils or beans for hearty, flavorful meals. And most importantly, talk to your doctor about your red meat consumption, especially if you're on heart or blood pressure medication. Your life may depend on these mindful adjustments, because what used to be a harmless treat can, with age, become a silent accelerator of inflammation and arterial stiffness. If red meat surprised you, wait until we uncover the hidden dangers in something often praised for its nutrients: organ meats. What they can do to your uric acid levels and brain vessels might just shock you. Organ meats like liver and kidneys have long been championed as nutritional powerhouses, praised for their dense concentrations of vitamins, iron, and other vital minerals. For generations, they were considered traditional superfoods, a way to fortify the body and maintain vitality. But as a brain doctor, I have to ask, does this lauded nutrient density come with an overlooked cost for our aging bodies? For seniors, the very compounds that make organ meat so rich can, paradoxically, become silent threats, tipping the balance of delicate internal systems. It's a counterintuitive truth that challenges decades of dietary wisdom, but one that is crucial for protecting your brain. The danger lies in 2 specific compounds found in abundance in organ meats: purines and iron. When we consume purine-rich foods, our bodies break them down into uric acid. For younger individuals, this process is usually managed, but for those over 60, slower kidney function can lead to elevated uric acid levels. This doesn't just trigger painful gout attacks, it creates systemic inflammation that directly impacts your blood vessels, making them stiffer and more prone to damage. Beyond purines, the high iron content, while essential in moderation, can also become problematic. Too much iron, especially from regular consumption of organ meats, can lead to oxidative stress in the brain, damaging cells and increasing the risk of vascular issues. This microscopic assault on your body's delicate systems is a silent precursor to stroke. Let me tell you about Mr. David Miller, a 68-year-old retired accountant from Arizona. David was meticulously health-conscious, believing in the power of traditional superfoods. Every week, he'd prepare a generous portion of beef liver, convinced he was boosting his iron and vitamin B levels. He was active, kept up with his grandkids, and prided himself on making smart choices. Yet, over time, he started noticing mild, persistent joint pain, which he simply dismissed as the inevitable aches of aging. He also experienced increasing fatigue and, occasionally, a fleeting confusion that he attributed to a senior moment. These subtle whispers of warning he never connected to his beloved, healthy liver. One sunny afternoon, while tending his rose garden, David experienced a sudden, terrifying shift. His words slurred, and he couldn't grasp his gardening shears with his right hand. His son, visiting nearby, rushed him to the emergency room. Scans confirmed a small ischemic stroke, a clot blocking blood flow to a crucial part of his brain. What shocked David and his family were the lab results: significantly elevated uric acid levels and markers of chronic inflammation, despite no prior diagnosis of gout. His doctor explained how his frequent organ meat intake, combined with his aging body's slower metabolism, had created a state of silent gout, fueling chronic inflammation and silently damaging his vascular system, eventually leading to the stroke. David's case highlights a critical point: the aging body's vulnerability to metabolic byproducts. High uric acid, even without the excruciating symptoms of a gout attack, can create a low-grade, persistent inflammatory state throughout your body. This silent inflammation is particularly damaging to the delicate blood vessels that feed your brain, making them more rigid, narrower, and far more susceptible to clot formation. For seniors, whose detoxification systems naturally slow down, these inflammatory effects are exacerbated, turning what was once a nutritional boon into a quiet, cumulative burden that significantly increases stroke risk. It's a threat that builds up unseen, until one day it manifests with devastating clarity. So, what should you do if you enjoy organ meats? If you're over 60, especially with a history of joint pain, kidney issues, or vascular concerns, limit consumption to very small, infrequent portions, perhaps a few ounces once a month at most. Instead, choose other iron-rich sources like lentils, spinach, fortified cereals, or lean cuts of beef in moderation. It's also wise to talk to your doctor about monitoring your uric acid levels, particularly if there's a family history of gout. Never make organ meats a regular part of your diet without consulting a physician who understands your full health picture and medication regimen. Your brain health depends on this mindful approach. The nuances of nutrition for an aging body are complex, and the dangers often lurk in unexpected places. If organ meats surprised you with their hidden risks, prepare to be shocked by something often praised as the ultimate brain food: farm-raised fish. Its hidden imbalance of crucial fats could be fueling inflammation you never saw coming, quietly setting the stage for vascular trouble. For decades, we've been told that fish is brain food, a cornerstone of a healthy diet, rich in essential fatty acids. And as a brain doctor, I wholeheartedly agree, with a critical caveat: not all fish are created equal. You see them everywhere: the pristine fillets of farm-raised tilapia, the vibrant pink of farmed salmon, presented as premium health choices in restaurants and grocery stores. But for someone over 60, especially if you're already managing inflammation or heart health, that seemingly healthy choice might be masking a silent, insidious risk. Have you ever wondered if the very fish you choose, believing it's good for your heart and brain, could actually be fueling inflammation you never saw coming? The truth lies in the delicate balance of omega fatty acids, a balance that is profoundly disrupted in many farm-raised fish. Unlike their wild counterparts, farm-raised fish are often fed diets high in corn, soy, and other grains, leading to a drastically different fat profile. This means they can contain a significantly higher ratio of omega-6 fatty acids compared to omega-3s. While both are essential, the modern diet is already overloaded with pro-inflammatory omega-6s. When this imbalance is exacerbated by your healthy fish choice, it creates a perfect storm for chronic inflammation. Inside your aging blood vessels, this inflammation can trigger microscopic damage, stiffen arterial walls, and make your blood thicker, stickier, creating the ideal conditions for blood clots to form, silently, until one day they don't stay silent anymore. I recall Mrs. Sarah Lee, a vibrant 72-year-old retired librarian from Oregon. She was meticulous about her health, walking daily, practicing yoga, and always reaching for what she believed were the healthiest food options. Every Wednesday was fish night, a tradition she held dear, often featuring baked tilapia, a farm-raised variety, chosen for its mild taste and heart-healthy reputation. She'd enjoyed this ritual for years, convinced she was doing her body good. But over time, subtle changes began to creep in. Persistent joint stiffness, especially in her hands, that ibuprofen barely touched. And a frustrating, intermittent brain fog that made finding words or remembering names increasingly difficult. Symptoms she dismissed as just getting older. Then, one afternoon, while engrossed in a novel, Mrs. Lee experienced a sudden, terrifying bout of severe dizziness. The words on the page blurred, then vanished entirely for a few moments, leaving her disoriented and panicked. Her quick-thinking friend rushed her to the emergency room, where doctors immediately suspected a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke. Her cholesterol levels were surprisingly good, but her lab tests showed elevated inflammatory markers and, most tellingly, an unfavorable omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. It became clear that her weekly farm-raised tilapia, while seemingly innocuous, had been silently fueling a chronic inflammatory cascade, creating the perfect environment for a microclot to briefly block blood flow to her brain. What Mrs. Lee's case, and countless others, highlights is the silent threat this omega imbalance poses to your brain's microvasculature. These are the tiny, delicate blood vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients to every corner of your brain. Chronic, low-grade inflammation, fueled by an excess of omega-6s, doesn't just damage large arteries. It particularly ravages these microvessels. This silent damage contributes not only to stroke risk, but also to insidious memory loss, cognitive decline, and reduced overall brain function, often years before a major event. For seniors, whose systems are already less equipped to repair and counter this inflammatory burden, these dietary choices become disproportionately dangerous. So what's the takeaway if you love fish? Choose wisely. Prioritize wild-caught fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. These are packed with the beneficial omega-3s that actively reduce inflammation and protect your brain. Limit or entirely avoid farm-raised varieties, especially tilapia, which often carry that inflammatory omega-6 burden. Always check sourcing labels carefully. And remember to balance your omega intake with other anti-inflammatory foods like colorful vegetables and healthy fats to give your body the best defense against vascular damage. Your brain deserves the best, most balanced fuel. But if farm-raised fish surprised you, wait until we dive into a celebratory favorite, certain shellfish. Often seen as a luxurious, light indulgence, its hidden compounds and cholesterol profile might be silently disrupting your cardiovascular balance, especially if you're over 60. Let's talk about how this seemingly exquisite choice could be adding an unexpected burden to your aging body. You've likely celebrated with it, indulged on special occasions, or even sought it out for a perceived healthy meal. Shellfish, shrimp, lobster, crab, mussels often graces our tables, seen as a light, elegant, and even beneficial choice. But as a brain doctor, I must ask, could this seemingly innocent indulgence, particularly for those over 60, be silently compromising your aging cardiovascular system or burdening your body's detoxification pathways? The truth is, the complexities of certain shellfish extend far beyond a simple calorie count, hiding risks that could impact your brain and heart in surprising ways. The hidden risks within certain shellfish boil down to two main concerns for seniors: cholesterol content for some individuals, and more universally, the potential for heavy metal accumulation. While dietary cholesterol's impact is nuanced and varies per person, some shellfish, like shrimp, are notably high in it, which can be a concern for seniors already managing elevated levels. More critically, many bottom-feeding shellfish, such as mussels and oysters, can accumulate heavy metals, like mercury and cadmium, from their environment. These toxins, even in small amounts, can contribute to systemic inflammation, oxidative stress, and directly impact the delicate vascular network of the brain, increasing the burden on your heart and nervous system. Let me share the story of Mr. Robert Thompson, 75, a spirited man who looked forward to his weekly shrimp scampi. After a fulfilling career, He celebrated his retirement by treating himself to what he believed was, eating well, a generous portion of shrimp every Friday. He meticulously took his medication for slightly elevated cholesterol, unaware that his celebratory ritual was quietly sabotaging his efforts. Initially, the signs were subtle: a creeping fatigue he attributed to age, and occasional, fleeting memory lapses he dismissed as minor distractions. He'd find himself pausing mid-sentence, searching for a word that just wouldn't come. These weren't overt symptoms, but quiet whispers from a system under stress. One morning, Mr. Roberts' wife noticed his increasing confusion and difficulty concentrating during their morning crossword. Later that day, he struggled with his balance, bumping into furniture. Alarmed, she rushed him to the doctor, fearing a swift decline. Cognitive assessments and brain scans revealed microvascular changes, consistent with early cognitive decline. Blood tests, surprisingly, showed elevated heavy metal markers, and his cholesterol, despite medication, was slightly unstable. His doctor, reviewing his diet, connected his weekly shellfish habit, combined with his age and already sensitive system, to this silent erosion of brain health. The cumulative effect of the toxins and the stress on his delicate blood vessels had quietly chipped away at his cognitive function, leaving him with a future far different from the one he'd envisioned. This is where the aging body's unique vulnerabilities come into play. As we age, our livers and kidneys become less efficient at clearing toxins and processing cholesterol. This means that heavy metals, even in seemingly small amounts, and dietary cholesterol can accumulate over time, particularly in sensitive tissues like the brain. What might have been tolerated or easily processed in your younger years can now become a significant cumulative burden. The body's ability to detoxify slows, turning what was once a harmless indulgence into a silent, persistent threat that can lead to vascular stress, inflammation, and neurological impact, building up unnoticed until it manifests as a crisis. So, how can you navigate the waters of shellfish wisely? If you enjoy shellfish, it's crucial to be mindful. Limit your intake of high cholesterol options like large shrimp and lobster, especially if you have cholesterol sensitivities. Prioritize smaller, wild-caught shellfish, such as scallops or oysters, consumed in moderation and always from clean, verified waters. Always check sourcing information for heavy metal warnings. Most importantly, diversify your protein sources. Don't rely heavily on any single type of meat, including shellfish. Rotate through a variety of lean proteins to distribute any potential risks, and ensure a broader spectrum of nutrients. The lessons from shellfish underscore a critical truth. Even seemingly healthy or celebratory foods can harbor hidden risks for the aging brain. If shellfish surprised you, prepare for a shock about something found in almost every pantry: canned meats. Their hidden sodium, preservatives, and even packaging chemicals could be silently sabotaging your blood pressure and brain health, turning a convenience into a quiet danger. As a brain doctor, I've seen countless seniors rely on canned meats. They're quick, affordable, and incredibly convenient. A go-to for a fast lunch or an easy dinner when cooking feels like too much. Canned tuna, chicken, even ham. Grace pantries across America, seen as a simple way to get protein. But what if this cornerstone of convenience is quietly sabotaging your most vital systems? What if this seemingly harmless pantry staple comes with a hidden cost, especially for your blood pressure, your hormonal balance, and ultimately, your brain? You see, the ease of canned meat masks a multi-layered threat, one that often goes unmentioned, yet can silently do profound damage. The dangers lurk in more than one place. First, the sodium. Canned meats are often loaded with it, a relentless assault on aging kidneys and blood vessels, forcing blood pressure higher and dehydrating your system. Then, there are the preservatives, sulfites, nitrites, and other chemicals used to extend shelf life. These aren't inert. They contribute to chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, wearing down the delicate lining of your arteries. And perhaps most insidious for seniors, the packaging itself. Many cans are lined with BPA, a chemical known to leach into food, acting as an endocrine disruptor that can interfere with hormones and further compromise your already fragile vascular health. This isn't just about preserving food. It's about a chemical cocktail slowly eroding your body's defenses. I recall Mrs. Brenda Carter, 81, a fiercely independent woman from Florida. She prided herself on managing her home and her health, taking medication for mild hypertension. Her daily ritual included a tuna sandwich for lunch, made with canned tuna and oil. "It's protein, it's easy, and it keeps me going," she'd tell her neighbor. She believed she was making a smart, healthy choice. But over time, Mrs. Carter started noticing subtle changes, a persistent thirst she couldn't quench, occasional moments of morning confusion that she dismissed as just getting old, and a slight, fleeting dizziness when she stood too quickly. These were whispers, not shouts, of a body under increasing strain, a silent pressure building from within her daily habit. One morning, Mrs. Carter's neighbor found her collapsed on the kitchen floor. Her speech was slurred, her left arm weak and unresponsive. At the hospital, scans confirmed a small ischemic stroke. Her blood tests were alarming, dangerously high sodium levels and signs of severe dehydration, despite her diligent medication use. It became clear to me and her attending physician. Her daily canned tuna, combined with her blood pressure medication and the natural vulnerabilities of an 81-year-old body, had created a perfect storm. The constant sodium influx, the chemical preservatives, and the underlying dehydration had turned her vascular system into a silent pressure cooker, culminating in a clot that robbed her of her independence. Here's the part that most seniors are never told. Your body at 80 doesn't handle chronic chemical exposure and excessive sodium like it did at 40. Your kidneys filter less efficiently. Your blood vessels are less elastic, more prone to damage from pressure fluctuations and inflammation. The silent damage from high sodium and chemical preservatives builds up, microscopic tears forming in arterial walls. And long-term exposure to endocrine disruptors like BPA, even at levels deemed safe for younger populations, can have disproportionate effects on an aging endocrine system, further compromising vascular stability and brain health. It's a cumulative burden, quietly accumulating until the day it breaks. So what should you do if you rely on canned meats? First, choose wisely. Opt for no salt added or low sodium versions, and always rinse canned goods thoroughly to wash away excess sodium. Prioritize BPA-free packaging when available. But more importantly, reduce your reliance on canned meats. Explore fresh or frozen alternatives for protein, baked salmon, grilled chicken breast, or even plant-based options like lentils and beans. And if you're on blood pressure medication or have kidney issues, talk to your doctor about your canned food consumption. Your life may depend on understanding these critical interactions, because here's the truth. What used to be a convenient shortcut can become a serious health risk as you age. And if canned meats shocked you, wait until we explore a beloved holiday and deli staple, smoked meats. Their hidden compounds, from nitrates to advanced glycation end products, could be silently stiffening your arteries and fueling inflammation you never saw coming. What I'm about to tell you in the next section will likely change the way you look at your festive ham forever. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 6. Smoked meats. They evoke warmth, tradition, and celebration. A beautifully glazed holiday ham, the rich aroma of smoked turkey at a family gathering, or even the convenience of deli smoked sausages for a quick sandwich. Many of us cherish these meats for their distinctive flavor and the memories they create. But as a brain doctor, I have to ask, could this cherished tradition, this flavorful indulgence, be quietly creating insidious dangers for your aging body, especially your arteries and brain? What if the very process that gives these meats their irresistible taste is also infusing them with compounds that accelerate inflammation and stiffen your blood vessels? The truth is, beneath that delicious smoky exterior lies a complex chemical landscape, one that poses multiple, often overlooked, sources of harm for seniors. The dangers in smoked meats stem from a multifaceted chemical and thermal assault on your system. First, the nitrates and nitrites used in curing, and sometimes formed during smoking, can be converted into N-nitroso compounds in your body. These are known to damage blood vessel linings and increase oxidative stress, literally corroding your delicate arteries from the inside. But there's another insidious culprit: advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These harmful compounds form when proteins or fats react with sugar through a process called glycation, especially under high heat, like smoking. AGEs accumulate in your tissues, making arteries stiff and less elastic, which reduces crucial blood flow to the brain. This chronic inflammation and stiffening create a perfect storm, increasing your risk of micro tears in vessel walls and, ultimately, dangerous clot formation. I once treated a patient named Mr. Miguel Sanchez, a vibrant 76-year-old retired chef from Texas. His family traditions, especially during the holidays, centered around a magnificent smoked ham he would prepare himself. And during the week, he enjoyed deli smoked turkey. He believed these were wholesome meats, far better than highly processed alternatives. Mr. Sanchez was active, sharp-witted, and diligently took his medication for high blood pressure. But over time, he started noticing subtle, easily dismissed symptoms. Persistent, dull joint pain that he attributed to just getting older, occasional blurry vision after meals, and a creeping, unexplained fatigue that stole his usual zest for life. He never connected these whispers of warning to his beloved smoked meats. Then, one Sunday, during a lively family gathering, the unthinkable happened. As Mr. Sanchez reached for a glass of water, he suddenly lost his balance, stumbling into a chair. His family noticed his speech was slurred, his words jumbled. His daughter, quick thinking, rushed him to the emergency room. Scans confirmed a minor ischemic stroke, affecting a crucial area for balance and speech. His blood tests, despite his medication, showed elevated inflammatory markers and disturbing signs of arterial stiffness. It was clear his lifelong smoked meat habits, rich in AGEs and harmful nitrates, had silently stiffened his arteries over decades, creating the perfect conditions for a clot to form and strike. His cherished tradition had become a hidden hand, pushing him towards catastrophe. What Mr. Sanchez's case tragically illustrates is the cumulative impact of these hidden compounds, especially on an aging body. Seniors. Bodies are simply less efficient at clearing and repairing the damage caused by AGEs and oxidative stress from nitrates. These compounds don't just affect major arteries. They contribute to microvascular damage, stiffening the delicate network of capillaries that supply your brain. This makes your brain's vessels brittle, less flexible, and highly susceptible to blockages. The damage from these silent attacks builds up over decades, often without a single symptom, until it manifests suddenly and devastatingly in later life. What you eat today, or what your family prepared for you for years, has a profound cumulative effect. So, what should you do if you love smoked meats? First, limit your intake drastically, especially processed varieties like deli ham and sausages. If you enjoy a holiday ham, make it a very rare occasion and keep your portions small. Prioritize fresh, unprocessed meats and opt for healthier cooking methods like baking, stewing, or poaching, which minimize AGE formation. If you do choose smoked products, look for labels like nitrate-free or uncured, but be aware that some still contain natural sources of nitrates. Most importantly, pair any smoked meat with an abundance of antioxidant-rich vegetables, like broccoli or bell peppers, which can help mitigate some of the harmful effects. And always discuss your dietary choices with your doctor, especially if you're on blood pressure or heart medication. The dangers hidden in smoked meats are a stark reminder that even traditional, flavorful foods can betray an aging body. But if smoked meats shocked you, wait until we talk about a household staple, high-fat ground meat. Its hidden saturated fat, and often less than ideal sourcing, could be silently disrupting your gut and fueling vascular inflammation. Ground meat. It's the ultimate kitchen chameleon, isn't it? From hearty meatloaf and savory tacos to classic spaghetti bolognese, it's a staple in countless American homes, lauded for its versatility and affordability. For many seniors, it represents a comforting, economical choice that anchors a meal. But as a brain doctor, I have to ask, does its convenience and popularity mask significant health concerns, especially for our aging bodies? We often look at ground meat as a simple ingredient, but the truth is, the complexities of its fat content and its sourcing go far beyond its appearance, hinting at hidden risks that could be silently undermining your health. The dangers of high-fat ground meat aren't just about weight gain. They strike at the very core of your vascular and neurological health. High levels of saturated fat, so common in fattier ground beef, contribute directly to arterial stiffness and chronic inflammation. This isn't just a matter of cholesterol. It's about the constant assault on your delicate blood vessel linings. Furthermore, conventional sourcing, often involving animals raised with antibiotics and hormones, can introduce compounds that disrupt your gut microbiome. This disruption isn't confined to your digestion. It creates a state of systemic inflammation. When your gut lining is compromised, inflammatory compounds leak into your bloodstream, increasing vascular permeability and, critically, raising your risk for blood clot formation. It's a multifaceted assault that quietly sets the stage for disaster. Let me tell you about Mrs. Helen Davis, a vibrant 79-year-old from Oregon. She believed wholeheartedly in hearty meals, often preparing her beloved meatloaf or chili with ground beef several times a week. "It's comfort food," she'd tell her daughter, "and it keeps me full." Mrs. Davis was meticulous about taking her medication for high cholesterol, convinced she was doing everything right. Yet, over time, subtle symptoms began to emerge, easily dismissed as just part of getting older. Recurrent digestive issues, an increasing brain fog that made her lose her train of thought, and a pervasive, quiet fatigue she couldn't shake. She never connected these whispers to her cherished comfort food, but the hidden consequences were slowly, insidiously building. Then, one afternoon, the silent damage became catastrophically clear. While on a phone call with her daughter, Mrs. Davis experienced sudden, severe disorientation. She struggled to recall her daughter's name, her words slurring. Her daughter, alarmed, rushed her to the emergency room. Scans soon confirmed a small ischemic stroke, a devastating interruption of blood flow to her brain. Her blood tests revealed elevated inflammatory markers, a clear sign of dysbiosis, a severe imbalance in her gut microbiome, and cholesterol levels that were stubbornly unstable despite her medication. It was a shocking revelation. Her doctor explained how her regular high-fat ground meat, combined with the natural vulnerabilities of aging and a compromised gut, had created a perfect storm of systemic inflammation and vascular fragility, culminating in the stroke. What Mrs. Davis's case vividly illustrates is the profound and often overlooked inflammatory loop between the gut and the brain, especially in seniors. As we age, our gut microbiomes become more fragile, more susceptible to disruption from dietary choices. When you consume high-fat, conventionally sourced ground meat, it can feed harmful bacteria, leading to a compromised gut barrier. This allows inflammatory compounds, sometimes called endotoxins, to escape into the bloodstream. This systemic inflammation doesn't just stay in the gut. It travels throughout the body, directly impacting the delicate blood vessels of the brain. This continuous, low-grade assault on brain vascularity significantly increases the risk of stroke and quietly contributes to cognitive decline. Your gut health, it turns out, is intrinsically linked to your brain's ability to stay sharp and stroke-free. So what's the takeaway if ground meat is a staple in your kitchen? If you love ground meat, choose wisely. Prioritize leaner options like 90/10 or even 95/5 to significantly reduce saturated fat intake. Better yet, explore plant-based alternatives like lentils or mushroom-based crumbles. When possible, opt for grass-fed and organic ground meats to minimize exposure to antibiotics and hormones that can disrupt your gut. Crucially, incorporate gut-supporting foods into your diet. Probiotics from fermented foods like yogurt or kimchi, and abundant fiber from vegetables and whole grains to counteract any inflammatory effects. Practice mindful portion control and always balance your meal with a generous array of colorful vegetables. your brain, and your gut will thank you. We've uncovered the silent saboteurs in processed meats, high-fat red meat, organ meats, farm-raised fish, certain shellfish, and even canned goods. If ground meat surprised you with its complex dangers, prepare for a revelation about a seemingly healthy staple, poultry skin and dark meat. Its hidden saturated fat, and especially when cooked crispy, can be silently fueling inflammation and arterial stiffness. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change how you view your next chicken dinner. As a brain doctor, I often hear people say, chicken is a healthy choice, and for the most part, they're right. Lean poultry can be an excellent source of protein, but what if I told you that one of the most beloved parts of a roasted chicken, that wonderfully crispy skin, and the rich, succulent dark meat, could be quietly accelerating arterial stiffening and fueling inflammation in your aging brain? For many seniors, this delicious indulgence is seen as harmless, a simple pleasure. But for those over 60, especially with underlying vascular vulnerabilities, this seemingly innocent habit comes with a hidden cost. It's not just the extra fat, it's the very way we cook it to achieve that irresistible crispness that introduces dangerous compounds. The truth is, poultry skin and dark meat naturally contain a higher concentration of saturated fat compared to lean breast meat. For an aging cardiovascular system, this can impact cholesterol levels and contribute to low-grade inflammation. But here's where the real danger lies. When you cook poultry to that perfect crispy finish, especially at high temperatures like roasting or frying, you create something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These aren't just an unpleasant acronym. They are powerful inflammatory compounds that circulate in your bloodstream. As we age, our arteries become less elastic. AGEs accelerate this stiffening process, making blood vessels rigid and prone to microscopic tears. This directly reduces vital blood flow to your brain and creates ideal conditions for tiny blood clots to form, silently setting the stage for a stroke. Let me tell you about Mr. David Chen, a vibrant 70-year-old retired engineer from California. David loved his roasted chicken. 2 or 3 times a week, he'd enjoy a plate, always making sure to get a generous helping of the crispy skin and juicy dark meat. Chicken is healthy, doctor, he'd tell me, and the skin's the best part. He was on medication for borderline high blood pressure, but otherwise considered himself in excellent health. Over time, however, David started noticing subtle changes, an increasing stiffness in his neck, which he attributed to old age, and occasional head rushes when he stood up quickly, dismissing them as minor inconveniences. He had no idea these were whispers from his body, struggling with a silent arterial assault. One morning, while reaching for his coffee, Mr. Chen experienced a sudden, profound weakness in his left arm. He couldn't grip the mug, and his hand felt heavy, unresponsive. His wife, alarmed, rushed him to the emergency room. Scans revealed a small lacunar stroke, a type of ischemic stroke affecting the deep brain structures that control movement and sensation. His blood tests showed elevated inflammatory markers and signs of vascular stiffening, despite his blood pressure medication. I explained to David and his wife that his regular crispy chicken, high in AGEs and saturated fat, had been silently contributing to microvascular damage in his brain, narrowing those tiny, crucial blood vessels, until one day a clot found its opportunity. It was a devastating revelation for a man who thought he was eating healthy. Here's the critical part. For seniors, AGEs accumulate more rapidly and are cleared less efficiently from the body. These compounds don't just stiffen your large arteries, they directly stiffen and damage the delicate capillaries within your brain. Think of your brain's blood supply as a vast, intricate network of microscopic pipes. When these pipes become brittle and constricted due to AGEs, nutrient delivery is impaired, waste removal slows, and the brain becomes starved of oxygen. This silent, cumulative damage predisposes the brain to microstrokes that may go unnoticed until they lead to significant cognitive decline, memory loss, or a more severe stroke event. What tastes good in the moment can, over years, erode the very foundations of your brain health. So what should you do if you enjoy poultry? It's not about avoiding chicken altogether. but about making smarter choices. First, always remove the skin from poultry before eating. That crispy deliciousness is a concentrated source of saturated fat and AGEs. Second, prioritize lean breast meat over dark meat, or consume dark meat sparingly and in smaller portions. Third, choose healthier cooking methods like baking, steaming, or poaching. If you grill, avoid charring, which also creates AGEs. And importantly, balance your poultry intake with plenty of plant-based proteins and abundant vegetables to provide antioxidants that can help combat inflammation. Talk to your doctor if you have concerns about your heart health and diet. The dangers lurking in our everyday meals can be truly surprising, can't they? We've explored how seemingly harmless poultry skin and dark meat can silently stiffen your arteries. But if poultry surprised you, prepare for a revelation about a meat often seen as exotic, even a delicacy. Certain game meats or processed exotic meats. Their unique fat profiles, or unknown processing, can be silently disrupting your metabolism and vascular health in ways you never expected. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you look at some of the world's more unusual culinary delights. After walking through the 9 common meats that may seem like harmless staples, but can quietly raise your risk of stroke, memory loss, and even a brain bleed, you might be feeling a swirl of emotions. Perhaps confusion, a touch of betrayal, or even a sense of being overwhelmed by how much you thought you knew that might not be true anymore. You've been told all your life that meat is a cornerstone of a strong diet, a source of vital protein. But the truth, especially for those of us over 60, is more nuanced, and thankfully far more empowering to understand. This isn't about fear, it's about knowledge. And with knowledge comes the power to choose. The good news is, not all meat is dangerous. In fact, some, when chosen wisely and prepared with care, can be powerful allies in protecting your brain, your heart, and your independence. Aging changes everything. The foods you ate at 30 or 40 no longer land the same way in your body. Your kidneys filter more slowly. Your liver processes medications with less efficiency. Your blood vessels become more fragile, less flexible. And your brain, the most delicate organ of all, becomes increasingly sensitive to fluctuations in blood pressure, blood sugar, and clotting factors. This is the core truth I want you to carry forward. Context is everything, especially with age. What worked at 40 does not always work at 70 or 80, especially with prescription medications now in the picture. Many older adults, with the best intentions, unknowingly build routines that put their brain at risk. A daily deli sandwich, a weekly crispy chicken, or a regular comfort food made with high-fat ground meat. These habits are so familiar, so ordinary, they don't raise suspicion. But under the surface, they can trigger a cascade of changes, silent, invisible, and slow, that increase inflammation, stiffen arteries, thicken the blood too much or not enough, and in the worst cases, form blood clots that block oxygen to the brain. Understanding the full picture beyond simple labels is paramount. So, how do we navigate this new landscape? Here are some general guidelines for mindful meat consumption that can make a profound difference for your aging brain and body. First, prioritize lean, unprocessed meats. The less a meat has been altered from its natural state, the better. Second, be mindful of your cooking methods. High-heat cooking, especially charring or frying, can create harmful advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, which stiffen arteries. Opt for steaming, baking, stewing, or gentle grilling. Third, practice portion control. A serving of meat should be about the size of a deck of cards, not a plate-filling slab. Fourth, always pair your meat with abundant vegetables and fiber. These allies help mitigate the inflammatory impact of meat and support healthy digestion. And finally, stay hydrated, and be acutely aware of how your diet interacts with any medications you're taking. Every choice, even a seemingly small one, can bring you closer to vitality or further into risk. Now, you may be wondering, what can you eat that supports the aging brain, fuels the heart, and still brings joy to your meals? Don't worry. You won't need pills, powders, or exotic ingredients. Just whole, simple food and a little wisdom to match. First, embrace wild-caught fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. These are packed with brain-protective omega-3s that actively reduce inflammation and support healthy blood flow. Second, choose lean, organic poultry, specifically skinless breast meat. It's a fantastic source of protein without the excessive saturated fat or AGEs associated with skin and dark meat when cooked crispy. Third, explore the power of plant-based proteins. Legumes like lentils and beans, tofu, tempeh, and nuts offer fiber, antioxidants, and complete protein without the vascular risks of many animal products. Fourth, if you enjoy red meat, choose very lean cuts like sirloin or flank steak and enjoy them occasionally, perhaps once or twice a month, with careful preparation. Always prioritize grass-fed options when possible to minimize inflammatory compounds. And remember, proper sourcing matters immensely. Look for wild-caught, organic, and ethically raised options whenever you can. I don't share these stories or insights to scare you unnecessarily. I share them because most seniors don't realize that even foods they assume are safe can become dangerous when they interact with age, medication, and timing. This is not about fear. It's about respect for your age, your body, and the quiet signals it sends. You are not fragile, but you are different. That doesn't mean you have to stop enjoying life's richness. It means you have to enjoy it wisely, with the knowledge and dignity that comes from a lifetime of experience. You've made it to this chapter in life through perseverance, wisdom, and care. Don't let a simple habit, a meat you never thought twice about, become the silent thief of your health. Every choice, even a meal, can bring you closer to vitality or further into risk. Read your labels, ask your doctors, think about what's on your plate and what it might do inside your body. Not just today, but weeks or months from now. I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life in the comments below. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. Because the truth is, you are not just eating to live anymore. You are eating to stay sharp, to stay standing, and to stay you. And with the right knowledge, the right meats, and the right timing, you absolutely can stay wise, stay watchful, and remember, your brain is listening to everything you feed it. Feed it the future you deserve. If you enjoyed this video and found these insights helpful, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.